Bend, don't break, recovering from the addiction to winning, the invisible trap of victory. What if the very thing driving your success is also what keeps you from peace? Everywhere we look, we're told to win. Win the game, win the argument, win the market, win your day. Winning is baked into the language of self-help, sport, and business. But here's the question worth asking. What does it cost to always be trying to win? Chapter 30 of the Tao Te Ching. Those who assist human leaders with the way do not coerce the world with weapons, for these things are apt to backfire. Brambles grow where an army has been. There are always bad years after a war. Therefore the good are effective, that is all. They do not presume to grab power thereby. They are effective but not conceited, effective but not proud, effective but not arrogant. They are effective when they have to be, effective but not coercive. If you peak in strength, you then age. This, it is said, is unguided. The unguided soon come to an end. In Chapter 30 of the Tao, it presents a different path, one not built on conquest but on alignment. It warns us that to force things is to invite backlash, that when we chase power through control, we may get the surface victory, but we lose something essential underneath. As Lao Tzu says, "Brambles grow where an army has been. There are always bad years after a war." In other words, the aftermath of our striving often leaves damage we didn't intend. Let's unpack this mindset deeply today and see how releasing the addiction to domination can free you to lead, perform, and live with less resistance and more resilience. The psychology of domination. Winning feels good, it's chemical. Dopamine spikes. The ego gets a pat on the back. Others notice, you get to stand above, and for a moment you feel untouchable. But it's a fleeting high, because now that you've won, you have something to lose. So the game restarts. The edge sharpens, the grip tightens. The mind builds walls around the territory it just claimed. This is the mindset of coercion, of force, of constant proving. And here's the subtle trap. You may win the battle, but you start losing your center. You can't relax. You can't tolerate others succeeding. You stop listening to feedback. You start manipulating outcomes just to stay ahead. Lao Tzu calls this unguided. It means moving without alignment, without awareness of consequence. This mindset shows up not just on the battlefield or boardroom. It shows up in the kitchen, the gym, relationships, even in how we talk to ourselves. Push harder. Don't be soft. If I'm not ahead, I'm behind. But the Tao offers another way, effectiveness without ego. Therefore, the good are effective, that is all. They do not presume to grab power thereby, effective but not proud, effective but not arrogant. This is such a liberating line. The good are effective, that's all. You can still be sharp, you can still execute, you can still win when needed, but you don't need to win to validate who you are. This isn't about passivity or complacency. It's about power without pressure, presence without pretense. Think of a great martial artist. When they're at their best, they're not striving, they're flowing, they're responsive. They neutralize, redirect, contain. They use only what's needed. Like my old friend David, a judo black belt in his 60s. He once said to me, "If I have to use more than 20% of my strength, I've already lost the exchange." This is effectiveness without ego. David could throw a younger, stronger man with barely a shrug because his posture, timing, and intention were aligned. The Tao reminds us that when we return to simplicity and humility, we unlock a power that doesn't provoke backlash, the burnout of forcing it. If you peak in strength, you then age. This, it is said, is unguided. The unguided soon come to an end. There's something sobering here. When we force everything, our careers, our bodies, our families, our inner healing, we accelerate decline. Not just physical aging, but emotional and spiritual fatigue. The body tightens, the breath shortens, the mind narrows. How many entrepreneurs, athletes, or driven professionals have you seen burn out by 40? How many winners end up lonely, bitter, or broken? The Tao teaches longevity through yielding. That doesn't mean you don't train hard or work toward goals. It means you stop thinking domination is the only mode of progress. When the nervous system is constantly in fight mode, it begins to break down. But when we engage with strategy, alignment, and awareness, we can go farther, not just faster. Let me tell you a story about Amara, a woman I met through one of my programs. She was a competitive CrossFit athlete. By every metric, she was winning: sponsorships, followers, PRs. But behind it all, she was suffering. I didn't even know how to be if I wasn't striving, she told me. She trained through injuries, ignored fatigue, and suppressed emotion. After a minor back injury became a major one, she finally had to stop. She joined one of our meditative movement programs out of desperation. In the first month, she kept asking, "How will this help me win again?" By month 3, her language changed. "I finally slept through the night." By month 6, "I'm starting to enjoy training again." And by month 9, "I feel powerful again, not because I can lift more, but because I don't have to prove anything." Amara still trains, but now she listens to her body. She uses breath work before and after sessions. She stops when her energy dips. And guess what? Her performance returned, but without the obsession. That's the Tao. It sneaks up on you, not with a shout, but with a sigh of relief. Let's make this practical. Here are 2 actions to help loosen the grip of the win-at-all-costs mindset. 1. The effective but not egotistic check-in. At the end of your workday or training session, reflect on this. Was I effective? Did I seek validation or simply do what needed to be done? Did I force anything? Was it necessary? If you notice ego-driven forcing, don't judge it. Just note it. Let awareness bring choice. 2. The Yielding Week experiment. For 7 days, choose one area where you often force outcomes: a conversation, a project, a workout. In that area, replace force with structure. Replace control with curiosity. Replace dominance with presence. Ask, what happens if I give 80% and stay connected? You might be surprised how much more ease and power becomes available. The wisdom of guiding without coercing. The Tao invites us to step back from the edge, to lead, perform, and live without making everything a battle. When you drop coercion, you gain influence. When you drop domination, you gain clarity. When you drop proving, you gain peace. Let the wins come as byproducts of integrity. Let effectiveness flow from simplicity. Let greatness arise from grounded presence. One last reflection to take with you. There's an ancient Chinese proverb: the flame that burns twice as bright burns half as long. But here's what the Tao reminds us. You don't need to burn. You can radiate. You don't need to conquer. You can lead. You don't need to force. You can follow the way. The most powerful warriors are not the loudest. They're the most aligned. And so, bend, don't break. Let yourself be effective, but not egotistic. Let yourself win, but not lose your soul in the process. This is the path of the Tao. This is the practice of the yielding warrior. And it starts with releasing the addiction to winning. Breathe deep, relax the grip, and remember, the Tao always flows where force falls away.